Missy Couch, welcome to the Charter School Insider podcast. It's great to see you.
Good to see you. Thanks for having me.
I I feel very fortunate to have a fellow podcaster on the show. If you don't know Missy or her team, they run a great podcast themselves. We'll link to it in the show notes. I'm just jumping out the gate here with the plug for your show.
Thanks.
And after you hear from Missy today, you'll be excited to learn more. But why don't we start with a quick intro for those who don't know you? Give us a little bit about your background and tell us about the company you founded, Checkbox Pro.
Yeah, so my name's Missy. I am from Texas. I went to the University of Texas. I joke that I majored in feelings. I got a degree in human development and family sciences. So it feels fitting to say I majored in feelings. Did not know what I was going to do with that degree after I got it. So did what lots of people were doing around the time and did Teach for America. And so signed up for Teach for America, got accepted, went to Memphis, Tennessee, and taught there for one whole year and realized that was a really cute experiment.
It's not easy. It's not easy. You had a lot of feelings, perhaps.
I did. My major came in very handy for myself. Found out that was not for me. But I loved education. I really enjoyed that aspect of it. So pivoted and went and worked as an office manager for a founding charter school, and was funny aside. The woman I was actually, she couldn't do the job anymore. And I went and shouted her for a day. And I came back and told my fiance at the time, I was like, I think I almost fell asleep at the table. Like, I was like, this is, but it's a job. I got to have a job. So,
Right.
Got in there and was like, what am I going to fill my days with? And quickly realized a lot, right? Like a founding charter school, and year one is you wear all the hats. And so that's what I did. And I just was there for just shy of a decade. And truly wore so many of the hats and got to learn a lot in school operations. So flash forward, we have our daughter, our oldest, and needed to move back closer to family. So found our way back into Texas. And I was like, what am I going to do? Like, my husband was potentially going to be starting a school. We weren't sure where we were going to land. And I had this idea. I was like, well, what if I start this company and I'm kind of like the next Marie Kondo and I can organize things for people? I was like, not really great at that. And then I was like, well, I'll just be an executive assistant for any industry. And I was like, but I actually don't want to learn about law or any of these other industries. I'm a little bit tired. I have a
snoozer.
1-year-old,
Yeah,
right?
right.
So I just decided, I was like, you know what? I know education. I've seen my husband be a school leader and be run ragged. And they get no support. What if I come in and just do a little bit of support for some of these school leaders? And there was Checkbox Pro born
Amazing.
in that moment in 2019. Yeah.
Okay, so just to recap,
Yeah.
school operations, husband works in a leadership role in a school. You're super familiar with both the operational side, but also personally very familiar with
Yeah.
the toll school leadership takes on,
Yeah.
in this case, your spouse. So kind of natural fit leading into Checkbox Pro. So I'm
Yeah.
excited to talk more about this because anyone listening who works in school leadership is thinking, yes, I'm exhausted. Please help. So tell us a little bit about what exactly, before we get into,
Yeah.
kind of the topic of school leadership and some of the things that make the job so challenging. What exactly does Checkbox Pro do? Like if a school leader calls your team today and what are you guys talking about? What do you guys do?
Yeah. So we are your traditional, like our bread and butter would be your very traditional executive assistant. We are 100% virtual though. So that's one little, caveat to our company's model. So we have our pro package, which is going to give you, right, like that calendar management, travel, logistics, purchasing, reimbursements. But then I feel like the real magic happens is in that weekly 1-hour check-in that we have with leaders. And it's our opportunity to come in there and do like the two sides of really like my core values as a company, right, are people focused and solutions oriented. And that 1 hour is geared towards that, right? We want to make sure that we are coming in, seeing you as a person, making sure that you're feeling encouraged and supported. And then on the flip side of that, making sure that we're getting things done for you and seeing problem spots, whether it's in your calendar or whether you've got travel coming up and we need to kind of work on those. So that's the bread and butter. Then kind of I thought that's where it was going to stop when I built my company, to be honest. I was like, well, just kind of do that. Um, and then given our background and every single member of our team who has 10 plus years of experience in education, we found ourselves kind of going, but we can help with that and that, right? And so now we've found ourselves having all these like customizable, like add-on supports for leaders. And so maybe they do need help with their board, or maybe they need help with their hiring department. So we come in and we fill in some of those tasks, or those project streams for those leaders so that we can just take a little bit of the strain off of them and they can reallocate more of their think time towards the strategic and big picture stuff. So,
I love it. So you guys are adding capacity for
yep.
leaders, taking out a lot of the maybe administrative time that eats into the schedule. From your experience, I'm curious, what are the biggest time drainers or challenges that school leaders you work with face on a daily basis?
Yeah, in kind of preparation for our podcast, like went to my team and was like, help me, right? Like, cause y'all are all working with leaders who are doing different things and asking different things of you. And I have just a very small
Sure.
piece of the pie, right? Um, what are your leaders running into? And overwhelmingly, of course, it's just competing priorities, like broadly, right? They've got to fundraise, they've got to worry about academics, they've got to worry about HR, they've got to worry about hiring, they've got to worry about all these things. Where and how do I spend my time? Um, Compliance is a huge piece.
Mm.
Just and at the end of the day, the buck stops with them, so they really do have to keep their thumb, or their finger on it. So that's a big piece. And then oftentimes, what we see is most of these charter schools and these founding, and they started single site, they've grown from there. Their hands were in everything. And so they have kind of set this culture that they are the go-to person, they are the authority. And so now so much of their day is spent filtering out requests from other people on the team, even though they might have grown to a place where I don't even actually have any purview or know anything about this anymore, but
The requests are still
the
landing on their
requests are
plate.
still
Yeah.
coming through them, and so they spend so much of their time trying to just go talk to that person. Like,
Yeah.
this is not me, actually don't know anymore, where to find those supplies. I don't actually know where we keep them anymore, but, so yeah.
Would you say that's like the sweet spot for when a leader could really benefit from this type of support? Or do you guys have clients all across the board? Doesn't matter if you're a school founder or a super mature organization.
Yeah, that's a great question. We do work with organizations at all sizes. And so the single site founding year is fun because we're doing a lot of systems building for them, right? Like they're getting their vendors up and off, they're collecting the information for the first time. So it's like, how do we house that and how do we grow? And so we can absolutely come in and help with that. And again, they just have small budgets still, right? So this is fractional support allows them to maybe stave off hiring a full-time HR person, but we can help kind of come in and help with their hiring process. But then we have other organizations where, yeah, they have full-blown C-suites, multi-campuses, like from all intents and purposes, right? Like they're crushing it.
Yeah.
And so, but I've been really impressed with some of those leaders because sure, that CEO may take on, Checkbox Pro EA, but then they're actually looking at their C-suite, or they're looking at their other department heads and going, but if you just had a little bit more capacity, that would
Mhm.
save us from having to hire another FTE, right? And so this gives y'all just a little bit of space to focus on some other, bigger projects. And so that's kind of where I've seen the shift. Like the larger organizations are actually using us to kind of share amongst
Yeah.
other departments and creating capacity like as an org, as opposed to just like a single leader.
Do you think technology has made things worse or better for leaders? I think, when I reflect on it, the argument the argument could be made that technology has just made everything worse because parents expect a response at all hours of the day. You can't get away from your phone. Communication happens faster. But on the flip side, there's all these, project management tools and this and that. What's your perspective, just in terms of the current climate?
Yeah, I mean, I think, is it better or worse? Like, yes. Right? Like yes, it's both. And everything that you listed of the things that make it worse, I think is like the fact that like once upon a time, the only time your time or was interrupted was because somebody knocked on your door, your office door, right? And that's how you got interrupted and had to come out of whatever workflow. Now it's you're still getting your office door knocked on. Now you're getting an email and a text and a call and a Slack and a chat. And just like it's just constant to where you feel like everything is so urgent. So in that way, yeah, I mean, tech is frustrating. But on the flip side, yeah, I think it's super helpful for leaders to have information at their fingertips, right? Like
Sure.
they can
Yeah.
pull up so easily, walk into a teacher's classroom and pull up their exit tickets information, and it's not like flipping through a binder trying to find that stuff, or
Right.
um pulling up in the moment, a video or just whatever you need to do to be able to like develop your people, is really helpful. Um, and then, yeah, I mean, like, obviously, I mean, project management, we use Asana and love it. And it's so helpful for us to stay on track with our projects and, our teamwork. I mean, I'm also not super techie. And I'm like, to learn all that tech and it's changing so rapidly, like, that's also time intensive. Like, if you kind of, hitching yourself to a horse and you're hoping it's going to go where you need it to go and do what it needs to do. But at the end of the day, it is tech and you have to kind of be able to have the adaptability and the time to be able to make it do what you need it to do.
Right.
So,
There's an investment there.
yeah.
Talk to me a little bit more about, I guess I'll call it the cost of being busy. You mentioned there's this hour-long meeting your team does with executives where the whole goal is, "Hey, how do we help you prioritize the most important things going forward and get rid of all this administrative work that really doesn't need your specific expertise?" How common is it when you all, maybe at the beginning when you start working with executives, to see significant amounts of time being allocated towards, I guess, admin tasks? I'd be curious to hear a little bit more on that.
That's a good question. So I don't necessarily know that you see the admin tasks on their calendar, right? Like those are the things that just kind of sneak in and all of a sudden um, are either, well, they're happening before or after hours, right? So it's not going to make it on their calendar because they're spending their evenings catching up on receipts or pulling data or like formatting, some sort of slide deck to make it presentable for the upcoming board meeting, right? And you're not going to see that work time reflected on their calendar. Um, but when you see a bricked out calendar of all these check-ins, well, there's got to be a lot of prep work involved in that. Like obviously within your academics, like if leaders are not getting into classrooms and seeing what's going on, one, I find it so interesting. All the leaders we talk to, when I say, what brings you most joy about your job? It is being around kids, even if that comes in the form of just classroom visits. And they don't
Hmm.
do it. They don't do it, not formally, right? Like they might pop in, if they can. So, but that's a detriment to their academics performance as an organization. And then so many of them have fundraising goals. And I mean, if you're doing all the admin tasks and you're not actually out there, you know, introducing yourself to community members and going and doing the grant writing and stuff, was like you're going to, those federal dollars are only going to go so far, right? You're
Right.
going to need, the help. So, and then I think just with like overall culture, again, if they're the helm of their organization, and if they're not being and setting themselves up to be available to spend time thinking about that strategically of where the organization's going, how are we going to operate as a school in comparison to the school down the street, and like who do we want to be for parents, students, and staff, you're just going to constantly see turnover, which is so frustrating and so hard because one, it costs so much, and two, it's just time intensive to try to backfill what you've already well, you already have, but if you're spending all your time behind a computer desk, or a computer, then you're not gonna be able to spend those times there, and you're gonna make up. You're gonna have to spend a bunch of time on the back end to make up for it. So
Do you all ever sit down with a leader and say, or maybe this is when you're first, I don't know if you guys do an audit of their schedule or their time, or you guys are talking. Do you ever have the conversation that I'm just imagining uh, looking at certain school leaders' calendars and feeling like this is just insane. Like, this is not sustainable. You are going to burn out in 12 months. Do you all ever have to have that conversation?
I have it once a week.
Okay.
um, okay, not once a week, but no, I do have it. I do have it pretty regularly. And our team does too, right? Like I have one leader who I sent her my out of office, and she goes, "Can I be out of office soon?" And I'm like, "Yeah, girl, like, yeah,
Yeah.
you need to be out of office soon. I've been telling you that." So, no, that's one of the first things that I do and kind of notice when when we're onboarding and just seeing like, ooh, okay, like, yeah, where are we at burnout status? Is if I see a bricked out calendar, right? And in those, none of those bricks are work time, right?
Right. There's no deep work.
There's
It's just
no deep.
meeting after meeting after meeting.
Yep. Yep. And so I either want to see white space, so I know we can fill it with some work time, or I want to see strategically placed work blocks. And when I don't see either of those two things, that is like one of the first conversations I have with leaders is like, you're going to have to change something, right? Like you either going to need to shorten a meeting, cancel a meeting, or you need to delegate a meeting. Like but you can't do it all. There's just not enough time. There's not enough time.
Yeah, I
So,
think it's interesting because most people would probably agree with that statement. Like, I need to be doing deep work on high leverage strategic tasks. Probably no leader disagrees with that
yep.
statement. And then in practice, your calendar just fills up with meetings and you get pulled in 1,000 different directions. You struggle to delegate, something you mentioned a little bit
Mhm.
earlier. How do you all work with leaders around delegation or working through that uncomfortable feeling of letting go or loosening the grip maybe as you're discussing, hey, you can't do it all, we need to
Right.
do the things that matter most. um the logical outcome is I need to let go of certain things or deprioritize them or pass them off to someone. uh where have you seen that done well, and what are some of the maybe recommendations or advice you would give to leaders who find delegation uncomfortable?
Yeah. Um, I'm always pretty surprised with leaders when I look at their calendar and I go, okay, do you have to do all these? And of course, their initial response is, well, yes, I do.
Of
Right.
course, it's all
Of
important,
course. They're
Missy.
all,
How dare you?
yes. Like, and then we kind of go meeting by meeting, right? To say, okay, and why are there five of you within this organization having this meeting with this vendor? And they're like, well, and I'm like, and then I know you're going to check in with one of those people after, right? And so it's really, I joke all the time, but it's like a therapist, right? It is a therapy appointment where it's like, I'm giving you permission to delegate or to cancel something, and you are still going to be an amazing school leader because you have all these other things already set up to make sure that you still are. Right. Like you bowing out of this meeting is okay because guess what we're going to do? We're going to add a recap of that meeting to your next agenda where you were checking in with the other person who is in that meeting, right? Like you are going to get that information. You're not going to get kept out of the loop. Um, and so I think we do that, and having them also kind of go back, like these leaders are great about setting their priorities. Like every single one of them, if you ask them, what are your priorities for this year? Or what are your priorities for this quarter? They have them. And a lot of them have them written down. And then when you start to go, okay, these are your priorities, but where in your calendar are you gonna work on those? Or like which of these meetings is lending themselves to this priority and which is not? And when you start to just ask all those probing questions, that's really like they answer it for themselves. Like they really do get to a place where they're like, okay, Missy, yeah, yeah, that meeting can go to biweekly. And then in the place of that other on the off weeks, I want to make sure that we're working on X thing. And I was like, I think that's a great idea for you. Right. Like,
Yeah.
I think you're spot on. And so I think, but again, it took them sitting down long enough with somebody whose only purpose in that moment is to actually make their life easier, right? Like, I
Right,
don't
right.
need anything from you, right? I don't come into the meeting going, okay, now tell me things, right? Like, give me, it's like I'm coming to you and I'm coming to you and we're going to talk through all these things to hopefully make your life a little bit more sustainable. And you already have all the pieces. You've done a lot of this work. It's just now we need to get into the rhythm of making sure we're checking against kind of what you've already said is most important. So, does that answer your question?
Totally. Yeah,
Okay.
totally. And it's funny because I'm sure people listening are thinking, yes, I do know what's a priority. I just never
Yeah.
have time to prioritize the
Yeah.
actual inputs. The school day is pretty similar most places, unless you run a very atypical school.
Yep.
And you've talked a little bit about some practical examples of how having one of your virtual assistants kind of changes the game around prioritization, helps people focus on high value versus low value. I'm curious if you've seen any best practices just around how to structure the day or the week to minimize distractions and maximize output on high value tasks.
Yeah.
Like, I guess basically what I'm asking is there like a power leader daily formula, or have you noticed no, everyone's different, but these are sort of like the components in the recipe you should be thinking about?
Yeah. Um, no, unfortunately there's not a one size fits all. This is the question I generally ask with people. Like, and we do this every year. I do this every year, if not twice a year, right? Because sometimes we just need a refresh for January once the new semester starts. But every year we're asking ourselves, okay, Um, when is your energy at its highest? Right? Like, are you a morning person or afternoon person? Because if you are a morning person, then we actually need to put your think time when your energy is at its highest so that you can get a lot of that good, deep strategy work done. And, and so let's just make sure we structure it that way. Are you an introvert or an extrovert, right? Like if you're an introvert, then your check-ins actually need to be at the top where your like people capacity is still at its highest. We don't want to put your check-ins at the afternoon. None of your people will want to work with you. Like because you're just going to be so depleted. So we got to I think we need to factor in a couple of those pieces. And then there's always that idea of do we batch our type of check-ins? And so we have some leaders who are like, yeah, I like to just get all of them knocked out on, across 1 or 2 days because then I want a couple days to be able to act on all the things, the action items that came out of it. Others are like, again, no, like, because I need them all in the afternoon because that's when my energy is at the right level for those check-ins. And so I need to spread them out across the 4 days. So it really is just people listening to themselves and asking themselves those questions, I think, is how you kind of need to dictate your calendar, which I don't necessarily know that people are always doing. I think they're just kind of willy-nilly going like, oh, you're free here, great. Like, let's make it work. And it's like,
Right,
but that's
right.
actually like you bring so much strategy to so much of your job. Like you probably need to bring that same level of strategy to your calendar. Um, and then the thing I mean, and it's not successful. I've not been successful at this, Daniel. I'm like, please work 1 day off campus or a half day at least where you can step outside of your building to like be without distractions as much as possible and really be intentional about how you're spending that time. And honestly, I think it's by doing that, like people feel bad. They're like, you want me to leave my building? Like it's gonna catch fire. Maybe, like maybe there will be some fires that you're going to have to pick up and you're going to have to develop some people, then, the next day when you get back of like how we handle those kinds of things. But over time, it's actually such a gift to yourself and your team to be able to allow them to like run a school without you there, right?
Mm,
Like you are developing a skill that they will be able to use and it will actually like, so maybe you can go from a half day to a full day. Like
right,
maybe you can take 2 days off campus and not have to be worried. And they feel really great about themselves because they're like, wow, okay, I know how to navigate that, that struggle of whatever that might, whatever. I know how to navigate that vendor. I know how when we run into that issue. I can do it. Um, and so honestly, I tell people, I'm like, take that day. It's a gift to you and it's a gift to your team.
That's such
So
good advice. Super
yeah.
practical.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's interesting that it's been hard to get people to do that. One of
Big one.
my like all-time favorite business books, it's not an education book, is a book called Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell. And one of the things he talks about in the book is if you want to figure out what's broken in your business, go on vacation for a week and like turn off your phone, shut off your email and get
Yeah.
back and see like what was actually a fire versus what wasn't a fire. And it sounds like the exact same advice. It's like
Yeah.
your school people are super competent, but you have to let them be competent. You know,
I mean,
if you're the decision on everything, then you
yeah.
have to be there.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
it's super
I
super
mean,
practical.
for any parents out there, same thing, right? Like mom goes out of town, all of a sudden these children know how to dress themselves. They can get
Right.
their own snack. Like I'm
Yeah,
going,
yeah.
I'm confused because when I'm in the house, it's mom, 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 mom. And the same thing, like, especially if you haven't set up a culture where there's clear lines of, like my team, one of my team members said this too, right? Like having really clear job descriptions that people know who to go to will also help so much with that because
Mm.
rather than people feeling like they have to come to you for permission or for guidance or whatever, well, there's actually the other person on the team that should be making that decision anyways, and so it's saving you an email, it's also saving you time. I mean, it's just all the things. So, yeah,
While we're on this topic, I
yeah,
want to ask quickly about setting boundaries because I think this is true in any leadership position. It's always super hard to set boundaries because you have good intentions. You want to help your team, you want to be there for them in hard moments, you want to be available. Um how are you all coaching leaders, guiding leaders just around protecting energy, mind share, playing the long game? Like, hey, if you want to lead schools for 20, 30 years, you know, this is a marathon, not a sprint. Any
yeah.
observations there around leaders who do a great job of setting boundaries or recommendations your team has found to be helpful?
Um, so using your calendar as like an actual tool, right? Like if you are preemptively putting on there, like, if you have school pickup and that's important to use to be able to go do school pickup for your own kiddos, or you've got a certain like, again, mind you, it needs to be like within the parameters of what's acceptable for your school's culture. But um, putting it on there so that way people don't just put additional time on your schedule, right? It's like, nope, I leave here and I'm going to honor that because um, I'm going to allow you to honor that too when you need to leave to go do X thing, right? And so, having actual just true like visual markers for team members of like I am offline starting at this time, right? And I don't come online until this time is helpful. I think organizations that have a strict like no emails after 8, right, or 9, like I when I hear that, I just like I love that so much, and not to tell anybody like that they shouldn't be, working in the evenings. Like life happens and, you need to work when you need to work. But there's called a schedule send feature on
Right. Yeah.
every email platform, I think now, right? Like there's a schedule send. So you can draft all the emails you want at midnight. If that's how you work, you do you. But you do not get to send that email until 7:30, 8 a.m., whatever like your school day starts. That's when you can send it. And you need to use that feature because in turn, like, well, one, you don't want to get inundated. Like if you want truly to be left alone in the evenings and in the early mornings, then you need to set that precedent as the leader. But then you don't want to put that pressure on your team to feel like, oh my God,
Right.
like, especially as the leader, like my boss is emailing me like at 10 p.m. I have to respond right now. And it's like, no, you don't. You actually need to be in bed because you've got to be up for these children, like,
Right.
and on by 7. So um that's a boundary that I've seen a lot of organizations kind of shifting towards is usually like a truly like no emails after this time. And I think that's really a great boundary. And then if you have an EA, like if any of your, you listening have an assistant, use them as your like I say kind of like use me as your excuse, right? Like it's like, okay, you're gonna have to schedule through Missy, right? Like she's gonna be, and then I'm gonna be the one that's like, bummer. Like they're not available for another month. And you don't get to be mad at or frustrated with anybody but me, right? Like
Mhm.
I get to be the bearer of bad news on behalf of that leader. And so, using your EA in that way. But I think at the end of the day, boundaries really just come from people being honest about what they need, right? It's like if you need to leave by this time, or if you need to work off campus, or you need to take a professional day once a month to be able to like recharge, that's okay. Like it is okay to know what you need, state what you need, and like follow through with it so that you can be here for the long haul.
Love it. Okay, so,
Yeah.
as we come to a close here,
Yeah.
couple quick hit questions.
Okay.
Are there any particular tools, systems you recommend for leaders when it comes to streamlining things? I know we talked about technology
Yeah.
earlier in the conversation. Anything you'd recommend? A lot of people are trying to figure out, how the heck do I use AI? Should I be, chat GPT drafting everything I do? Should I not? Any quick thoughts on the toolbox?
Um, I think I'm just a big okay, beware listeners. I'm not super techie and I'm still trying to like figure out where AI fits into my life. So just, know that, hear that. I am a big fan of like G Suite. Again, as much as I can like nest within the same system of things,
Mhm.
it's best. So if you do not have an assistant that is able to help you with scheduling, right? Like Google Calendar has a built-in appointment scheduler app, which is great. And you can customize and create as many as you want, right? Like I want a 30-minute meeting app. I want a 60-minute meeting. I want something Google, or I want something, on person. So you can really shape and form those to help and send that out to people pretty quickly if you need something to get scheduled. And then obviously, like all the communication features within Gmail, like I said, I mentioned schedule send. I think that's like a really great tool. Snoozing is like one of my favorite tools too, right? Rather than like spending brain energy trying to figure out, like, did that person respond to me? When does that due? If you've given somebody an action in an email and you want to make sure that it gets back to you, just snooze it for the deadline. And it comes back into your inbox, and use that as your kind of jolts to, oh, I need to follow up on that if I haven't heard from them. Right. And so that's one. And then Gmail templates, which I think kind of it goes really nicely hand in hand with like Chat GPT. I'm not a fan of like AI writing my emails from scratch. I love AI checking my emails for
Sure.
clarity. I'm a little
Yep.
bit verbose, as you listeners might have found out now. So I write it all, put it into Chat GPT, and then have it just edit it down for me to make sure it's concise and clear. But then I use a ton of Gmail templates, right? So once I've gotten an email, if I'm sending something over and over again, or even just once a year, right? Like, okay, staff evals are coming around the corner. I don't want to rewrite that email. I don't want to go combing through my emails to try to find that communication. I'm going to build out my templates. It's going to be there for me when I need to use it again. You know, fix a few things and send it off. And so that would be those are my G Suite like loves and use
Okay,
pretty
that's a good
regularly.
that's a good one. So many
Yeah.
organizations are Google Shops anyways, so that's a really good one.
Right. It's like just use what you've got.
Okay, paint us the picture of 6 months into doing this work. Like, give us the green pastures, sunshine picture of gaining control of your time. What can your life look like as a leader? Maybe just give us a quick anecdote, maybe pull from someone you guys have worked with. You don't have to name names.
Right. Right. Yeah, I think we've had I'm trying to think of one of my leaders. Yeah, I mean, I think once people truly have, and now's the time, right? Write your priorities out and check it against your calendar. Um I think as much as you can get, as if you can get to a place where, like I said, once a week you have like 4 hours of uninterrupted think time. Like it's amazing, like it doesn't take a lot, Daniel, like to really feel caught up. Um I mean, I think probably one of my best examples is she truly does block out her entire Thursday. It's her work day. And she has on her calendar for her entire organization to see, like, do not schedule meetings without permission, right? Because that's the other thing. People see white space and like, I'll just grab that time.
Right.
And so this way it's her cue to her team, like, no, Thursday's my work day. and you're not to throw anything on my calendar unless you have asked me or Missy if that's allowed, right? And then and so then she knows she can stack her Monday through Wednesday with a bunch of meetings, and she's okay because she's gonna have a breather on Thursday to where she'll be able to get all that knocked out. And then she's actually, which I'm so happy, has started even doing Friday afternoons to just be that final wrap up of like, time to just get everything tied off with a bow before she goes back at it again. And so I think I think that is what is possible for people if they're willing to just make some changes in how they view their meetings. I mean, it just really comes down to if you are in meetings, you will burn yourself out if you are in meetings all day. It's just decision fatigue. It is if every minute of your day is spent having to make decisions for other people and be the voice of, wisdom and reason and all the things, you will just get tired. And so you do need a day for yourself to refill that bucket, and then go do that yoga class or go to the gym and don't feel bad about it. Like,
Right.
there's a lot of optics around, okay, well, if I do that, and it's like, I know, but you also are like, you are working more than your fair share of 40 hours. Like, not a
Right.
single leader can say like, oh, I only work 40 hours a week. I'm like, no, you are working more. So if you need to come in a little bit late so that you can hit the gym to make you a better person and version, then do that.
Right. Right. Very good
Daniel, I don't
advice.
know.
Very good advice. All right.
Okay.
So where can listeners connect with you, learn more about your work, if they want 4 hours of free think time back in their week, and maybe a yoga class and a
Oh,
matcha
no.
tea or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, I have to shout out my team first of all. So my team is amazing, and they all have, I think I might have mentioned this, but all have 10 plus years of experience in education. So what I love about that is any leader who comes and works with us is going to get somebody who truly does understand what the day-to-day of a leader looks like. They have walked those halls and in those shoes, like they get it. And so then I would say, like, check out our free resources on our website. They're built by us, right? Like, it's things that my team has built for leaders, and then we just turn around and we share it, and we think, we want to be a resource for people. I have a monthly newsletter that goes out that is equal parts fun and equal parts like resources and tied to that. So I enjoy that. And then, yeah, like you mentioned, I've got my Checkbox Pro series, and I have conversations with school leaders that are trying to figure out how to make this work sustainable. And so we talk about the joys and the challenges. And at the end of the day, like, yeah, what's a resource that's really honing their superpower? And so if you are feeling empty or alone in this work, sometimes hearing from other people who are going through the same thing, like, in building that community that way is probably the best thing you can do for yourself. So just coming in and being part of that is always so fun.
Amazing. Well, we'll link to all
Yay.
of that in the show notes. Go check out
Great.
Checkbox Pro. And Missy, thanks so much for your time.
Oh, this was so great. Thank you so much. It's fun to be on this side.
All right, folks.
Right.
Thanks, Missy.
Thanks.
Thanks for listening to Charter School Insider. This show is brought to you by BuyQ, the group purchasing organization specifically for charter schools. Want to learn how to maximize your school's purchasing power? Join together with thousands of other charter schools by visiting buyq.org/sign up. BuyQ's purchasing program is free and has no obligations or commitments required. If you enjoyed today's episode, do us a favor and subscribe on your podcast listening platform of choice. If you have a question or feedback for us, we'd love to hear from you. Send us an email at podcast@byq.org. Thanks, and we hope you'll tune in for the next one.